All right, we are navigating a few technical things with Facebook, but we are live both with the on the webinar. I'll skip that. And so, all right, so we're working through a couple things on Facebook. We're sharing this from another page because it blocked, and we just kind of improvise and go from there. But if you are watching this on our webpage from grieftogrowth.org, if you've logged in there, or here on Facebook, we're just going to get started, and we're excited that we can kick this off. This is the second Hope for the Holidays that we have done. We did one last week, and now we're coming back this week. We just want to be able to connect with you and share some things on navigating when you're walking through loss. And so we just want to first maybe explain, if you are not familiar with us, we're Matt and Kari Perkins, and we have started Grief to Growth as a way to help those who are impacted by loss. But I am Matt Perkins, and I want to introduce my wife, Kari.
Hello.
And, we have, in the last number of years, we've been married for 4 years, 4.5 years. Mm-hmm. We have a blended family of 7 kids, and now the first grandbaby and another one that is on the way shortly. And so that's super exciting. And here in January, we'll have another grandbaby. But why don't you just share, just to give a little background of what we've walked through, and just give kind of an overview of maybe some things that you've walked through in 6 years ago, when life kind of changed a little bit for you. And it was around this time of year.
Yeah, our family was, my late husband, Eddie, was the children's pastor at a local church here. And we had 5 children, 5 boys, mostly teenagers, 1 younger. And we were at church, and my husband suddenly passed away from a heart attack. And it would just kind of threw our family just our just through
Yeah.
through us. I don't even know.
And that was just a few days before Thanksgiving. And so
Yeah.
so now, just in this last week,
Mhm.
it was 6 years ago that Eddie had passed.
Mhm.
And for me, my late wife, Mary Beth, had passed away, was diagnosed shortly after we moved here to California, where we serve as worship pastors. She was diagnosed with an aggressive form of breast cancer. And, one of those things that you never expect and just comes out of the blue, and then going, oh my gosh, how do we manage? How do we navigate? And she passed away just shy of us being here a year in Fresno. And so this, for us as well, this is, 6.5 years. And so we've walked through some difficult things. And I think even as we were talking about going into Hope for the Holidays, I remember those first moments, or those first holidays going into, and it was such a difficult thing. But even with that, God was so faithful through every step of the way, and navigating this time of the year can be tricky. You're navigating emotions. You're trying to walk into the year in this time with a somewhat of a plan, but also knowing that, man, everything has been tossed and turned, and trying to know what to do. And so we want to talk through some of these and just give you an opportunity to be able to, there's some questions. Some of you are walking through loss of many types, and that could be, loss of kind of health. It could be diagnosis. It could be the loss of a loved one or friend, coworker. It could also be loss of a job and your financial stability. And so there's a lot of things that we cover, and that's why we set up and started Grief to Growth. And that exists to help those that are impacted by loss to move forward with purpose. And so in this, we're going to talk about managing emotions, developing, plan A and what that is. And then we'll talk about some traditions. Do we honor the old traditions, or do we start new ones? Is it either or how do we go through that? And then number 4 is your plan B. When certainly sometimes plan A doesn't work and you have a plan B, but actually what we're talking about is something different. It's plan B stands for boundaries, and how to set boundaries, and then going into who's got your back, and then what's next. And so when we look at managing emotions are a difficult thing to navigate going in to the holidays. Could you talk about maybe some things as you were going through that first Thanksgiving, those first holidays into Christmas? Maybe what were some things that you were facing emotions? I'm sure that because you were just a few days removed from that loss, what was going through your head at that time leading into the holidays?
Just how are we going to do this? How would we do this in a healthy way, but that we could all really just get through it.
Yeah.
This one would have, just be difficult to kind of navigate with just being a few days from Thanksgiving. We would typically go, to his side of the family's house for part of it, and then then we kind of juggle back and forth. But this for Thanksgiving, we decided I would just sit down with the kids and ask them what would be the best thing for us. What what would help you, because the week was difficult,
Yeah.
Walking through that week with everything that has to be done, just getting ready for, really for a memorial service
Right.
was what our minds were on.
Yeah, it wasn't even, sometimes it's all of we have family coming, we have a meal to prepare, all of that. You're looking at planning a memorial service in addition to all of
trying to figure out if we were even going to do that or skip that.
Yeah.
And so, the boys and I sat down, and it was mostly just the majority saying, we just want to be at home. We don't care if we have, can we just have the normal dinner, but do it at our house, in our home. And then whoever wants to come can come. Like, they had no problem with all of that.
Yeah.
And so that's what we did. And it was different, but it was nice. It was easy, and the kids could do their thing in their own home. If they didn't feel like, being with everyone for that moment, they could go to their rooms. But they would, the only thing I asked them was to be interactive, at some point. Don't just withdraw completely, feeling like they needed to be around in community with people that loved them and that they could be themselves with. And so that was very important. And so we did that for Thanksgiving. Christmas, we had a family trip planned that my in-laws had gifted us. And so they gave us the option of not doing it. And I said, no, we need to do this. This is something that he would have wanted us to do. And it was our youngest son's first time to Disneyland. So we all decided to go ahead. And again, I made sure that they were good with it. They were like, yes, we need to do it. Very strange, because of course we're missing, a huge piece of our hearts. And so we went and we had fun, very different, but was thankful for that, that we could, step away for a little bit. And then we did our Christmas in our home again. And it was nice.
Yeah. The going through those times, because there's a couple things that I remember. One was the first Christmas that we were in California. Mary Beth was diagnosed 2 days before Christmas, on the same day as our Christmas production, and getting ready and all of the insanity that goes along with that, and the kind of the pressure and all of the.
But you weren't just attending this.
Yeah, we weren't just going or just singing. It was,
you were in charge.
It was the first production of being in a new church, moving from Orlando to California. And so everything was new. And then to receive that diagnosis just a few hours before starting the sound check, I remember we were just saying, okay, we talked to the girls, we called some family, and then we were like, okay, we just got to keep our mouth shut and just get through this time. And I think that's what we many times will try and do, is we just want to get through, and we just want to, if there's any way to just deny something, just go into denial. And we talk about the stages of grief, but that was the year before. Then walking into the second year was our first Christmas without her. And just navigating all of the emotions. And I think if you are walking into a season, and even how I had mentioned our first Christmas here, we were walking through some difficult times, just because it was the change of life as we had known it for the last number of years, being in Florida. And so it may not be the death of someone that you're walking through. It may just be life as you have known it And I think if there's anything that we can take from watching the news or just the last year and a half, nearly 2 years, that everything has been, abnormal. There's nothing that has been normal about it. And so your situation might be different than ours, and that's completely okay. And what we want to do is just take a moment, and we're going to talk about managing emotions, what that looks like. And so as we go into that, the first thing is you might feel, a swell of grief that hits you out of nowhere. You might be looking at it saying, man, I don't know what's happening or where these emotions are even coming from. But know that when those times hit, be prepared and know that that these are going to come. And then secondly is the temptations. It can be very tempting for us to just, even as we were talking about that, is just go into some type of aspect of denial. Just, boy, I just want to just pretend this holiday and this season doesn't even exist. And so we have to navigate that, but then also beware that we aren't just trying to numb the pain so we don't feel anything. That can be such a difficult thing for us to do. And I think one other aspect is sometimes anger hits in because you look at everyone else going on saying, well, they're just going on with their life. Why, what's up with this? They're acting like nothing is happening, and here we are struggling. Anger can come in a variety of different areas.
It can sneak in.
When you have to go to an event and you don't want to go to the event, but you need to be there, and you just are frustrated and ticked, going, why in the world do I have to do this right now? This is not right. And so that might be something that you have faced, is that, dealing with anger. I think it's important for us, and a friend of ours in one of our classes from the in-person, he had mentioned this next thing that we can do when we're walking through that. And this was pretty interesting. Do you want to share about this indulging your grief and what that, because it stood out to both of us when he said that.
I even find that it's been helpful for me even now. Just sometimes sitting. So what he was explaining was that sometimes when he wants to, he's feeling overwhelmingly, an emotion of just missing someone or specific person or whatever, he will sit and indulge in the grief but set a time limit. I thought that was really important because when you set a time limit, then you can sit. Like I just did this the other day. Okay. So I sat and I was looking through pictures and videos of Eddie, and it was the anniversary of his death, 6 years. And so I just sat and I was looking through his videos and kind of laughing and, and crying and kind of going through those. And as I was looking through them, I had seen them 100 times. I mean, probably 1,000 times.
Yeah.
But as you sit through them and you kind of look through them, I kind of gave myself 15 minutes. And I thought that was really interesting when this gentleman had said that to us, that to indulge yourself in the grief for a period of time, and then that's it.
Put it away.
Put it away. It doesn't mean you're not going to ever go back, but find the time to do that in short increments of time, because otherwise it can take a hold of you and then it's a tailspin.
Yeah.
And it can become something that just takes over your emotions, and then you can't get out of it. And that's very important to not get to that level.
Yeah. The thing about that, and if you're watching online, if you were on Facebook, we actually shared from another page because we were having some difficulty. If you want to, whether that's in that chat there, or if you're on YouTube, you can also jump over to youtube.com/thefamilyblend, and we're live there. And so you can go ahead and in the comments, you can ask some questions. We're going to have a point in a little bit where we will open that up more. But if you have some questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat, and we'll see those, and we'll do our best to try and get to those. But the important part about that you were just saying is, by taking the time and indulging that grief, basically one of the things that we're saying that's really important is, don't pretend that this time doesn't exist. Don't pretend that the loss never happened. That could be the loss of a relationship, whatever that might look like. And there's so many things that we talk about when we reference loss and what that is. It's personal to you. And so we're not here to say that one loss is more difficult, less difficult than anyone else. And I think as soon as we start to say, well, that loss is less, we're minimizing that impact, whether on our lives, we're minimizing the impact on others. And so take that time, give yourself some time or some moments, and not pass this time by, but lean into it and know that you're going to allow yourself and then move on from that. And so one thing that I had learned a number of years ago, I was going through a motorcycle safety training course, and they were talking about when you go into a turn and you're going down the roadway and the road takes a turn, that it's important that you lean into that turn, because if you don't lean into it, you're going to end up falling off. You're going to crash. It's not going to be good. And so I think even in that, embracing what's happening, embracing this time, and then know that as you do that, you can keep moving forward. We had in one of our classes, we were talking about this illustration of two balloons. And I love how you had used that illustration. You want to just share about that and what the importance of that is?
Yeah, I took two balloons, and I had one filled with just our good old hot air, from our lungs, and then another one with helium. And we talked about how when we fill our hearts and this balloon is representing us and in our heart. And when we fill ourselves with just all of our emotions, and we just, keep packing it in, and we just keep, missing the word. And when you do that, and then you try to push it up, like, okay, God, here it is. And it just bounces around, and it bounces back and forth, and it hits the wall, and it falls down, and it always ends up falling on the ground, and it's all over the place. It just bounces everywhere. And that's what happens with our emotions. When we have, when we just don't have the right elements in there, it's just going to keep bouncing around, and it goes nowhere. And then you have the one with the helium, and the component of hope, and of what God can do for you. Yeah. And when you fill your heart with that, with the hope that God can give, as you let that go up, what happens when a helium balloon, when you let go of it, it rises up, right? And so you watch it, and it's like, as a kid, you would, let your balloon go, and you would see it go up in the air, and you would just watch it, and it's like so fun, and you just keep looking up. And that's really what it was when you let that go, you let God have it, you look up, and you're able to find the hope instead of it bouncing all over the place. It has a direction. With the one with the hot air, with our air, it's just bouncing all over. There's no direction. But when you find the hope and the direction, it goes. It goes in the right direction.
When we tend to put our trust in ourselves, when we put our trust in our feelings. Now, some people will say, well, you don't listen to your feelings, don't listen to your emotions. And I think that, there are some elements. Don't be controlled by your feelings. Don't be controlled by your emotions, but you are going to feel things. You are going to walk through things. But if you put your trust in your feelings, you're going to be bounced all around, like Kari was talking about with the hot air and how everything bounces back and forth. But when you put your trust, when you put your hope in God, you let that go. And how amazing it is that when we just look to him, that we can know that he is there for us. And so we indulge grief, we lean in, and then we look up. And I like this quote. It says, there are no quick fixes to grief, no easy answers. Every expression of grief that wants to be felt and honored and given its space must be allowed in order to heal. And so you are going to walk through some different feelings. You're going to walk through some times. There's no easy fix to this. No, was it Staples that had the easy button that they would always talk about, the easy button? Unfortunately, during this time, there is no easy button. However, allow yourself to feel, allow yourself to honor those memories and indulge in those. And then you can move forward, and that will allow you to be able to heal and move forward. And so the next thing is plan A. Have a plan in this time, that we set realistic expectations. I think it's important for people to know that
you don't have to do everything.
Exactly. It's we can be pushed around or motivated or feel the pressure of guilt that, oh, well, I have to do this. They asked me, and so.
Or they won't have this, so we need to do this, or,
Yeah, that's this is a different year. This is a different season. You don't have to do everything. Don't overcommit yourself. Allow there to be margin in your life. Now, this next one, that can be a difficult one.
Accept other people's offers to help. That's a huge one for me, because at the beginning I didn't know how to ask for help, and I didn't know how to accept it either. I felt like because of my nature, it was like, I can do it, I will do it. I don't need any, and that it's so important to accept others.
Well, we were just talking with some friends, just some dear friends today, and they're walking through, a journey with health, and just saying, boy, it's God's really been, working on me to be the receiver, because I've always been, giving and doing, and now in this time, God's showing me that I just need to sit and receive. And that was and
you're not any less of a person because you receive.
Right.
It actually can help you become stronger. It really does.
Yeah, and not denying or just dismissing those times with just being with God and allow him to minister to you in your life. And so we need to accept others' offer for help, and then be intentional on the things that we have going on. When are we going somewhere? Where are we going? How are we going to do that? This next area is traditions. And we're talking about old traditions and new, honoring the old and making new. I think it's sometimes we feel like things are, it's one or the other. Do I honor the old traditions or do I make new traditions? Which is it? And it's not an either or. And we just have to be okay that, you know, hey, there are some things that we need to go into this time. Find some ways that you can honor your loved one, or, you know, what you have lost. If it is whether it's a spouse, a child, a parent, a friend, whatever that may be, find a way that you can honor that loved one, maybe individually, and as a group. And there was a question that was posed in our last webinar that someone had said, you know, what do I do if some people want to, some people don't want to have that new tradition? I want to do it, but maybe they don't. I think that's where it becomes helpful for you to know that you can do something individually. Maybe that is, you know, whether decorating a tree, you know, there might be an ornament that you have that might be significant. And you know what? Not everyone has to know your business. Not everyone has to know that you have this way of honoring someone. Maybe it's something special that you're doing individually. So if it's a gift or something that you want to get, that's a small reminder that reminds you of that loved one, look at that and how you can do that individually. But then as a group, you may want to look at it and say, hey, as a family, there is an empty chair this year at the dinner table. There might be 2 or 3 empty chairs. We've been talking with a lot of families that have gone through multiple losses in this past year for many different reasons. And it's so difficult when we have those times of saying, okay, how do we do this? So maybe it's, you know, something that you can share a memory. You can, you know, just find a way to honor both individually as a group. And then, like we just said, make it personal. And then also, you know, let it be positive and uplifting. And sometimes we don't want to do something because we may feel like, boy, I just don't want this to be a downer, or I'm tired of crying. I'm tired of going through the emotions. And so we can skip an opportunity to be able to honor someone and either push forward into a new tradition. So the next thing is plan B, and that is setting boundaries. Boundaries can be tough, but just recognizing that
you have choices.
No one is, you don't have to be at everybody else's beck and call for things, that you can move forward. And
or that invitation, hey, I think you would like this, get out of the house. Not that it's not a bad thing. I mean, it's a good thing to be invited, but sometimes you just have to make the boundaries of it's okay to say no.
Yeah.
And it's okay to go and make, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, you know, knowing that you have choices. It's okay and there are ways that you can be able to say no in a positive way. If it's, hey, thanks for the invite, but I'm unable to attend. And I think knowing that you don't have to find every other reason of just saying, hey, it just doesn't work this year, and so I'm not able to go. And we kind of touched on this of just letting go of guilt, and just push that aside and make sure that you are taking care of yourself during this time. Yeah, and that comes in with that that next area of self-care. And so some options for self-care: getting some exercise, healthy eating, and making sure that you are getting sleep, that you're finding something that you want to do that is enjoyable, that you are, hey, this is something that I'm doing to for myself. And so whatever that may be, if it's taking a drive, and whatever that might be for you. You might find if you go have either a spa day or do your nails or something. She did have me go with her to do a pedicure one day a few months ago. I'd never experienced that before. But then
and he acts like he didn't like it, but he did.
I was like, I don't know if this is odd. This is I think I like this. This is
I do have to say, I remember you telling me that, or actually, just how the boundaries of having sleep. I think that's a super important one, because I know you can get going, and that's something you forget to do.
Yeah,
and back then, after having conversations with you, finding out that I'm like, how in the world? I mean, I can go on a little bit of sleep with working nights for so many years, but I still had to sleep at some point. And right. I know you did too, but how is that like you would just said hit a wall, yeah. And I think it's good to hear that they're not the only ones, that.
Yeah. And that's, I think even more, even now, I've had to just realize that I have to set boundaries in life, just for my own sake. We have just as my responsibilities. One, my responsibilities to myself and God, but also as a husband, as a father, as a bonus father, and now grandfather. There are things that I've had to adjust my thought process to just say, this isn't bad for me to say, hey, I hit the wall. I need to, watch. And so as I've been more intentional about my rest, also, one of the other things that we have on there is journaling. As I have become more intentional about writing down things that I am thankful for, that has been something that has been very helpful to me, because it changes your mindset, because you start looking at things different, and what could normally be a way to, whether it's, the enemy trying to get in your mind and take you down another course, that you've started your day and your morning of going, no, this is what I'm thankful for. This is, how God, and a lot of times the things that I'm thankful for, it's the random little things
Tell them you're one from the other morning.
What was that?
I'm thankful for my warm blanket.
Yeah,
because it was so cold when we woke up.
Yeah, so things of just writing down and go, man, I'm thankful for that heated blanket that I was like, what?
I only say this because for people to understand that we're still walking through this every single day. This isn't something that we have conquered and we're done,
Yeah.
No, we do this every day. We fight the what do you want to call it? The sting of grief, that all the time. So it's not just.
And in our family where it's not just two individuals that are walking through grief, it's two individuals plus 7 kids who are walking through that as well. And so it's important for us to just be able to take a step back and make sure that we're taking care of ourselves. It's really important for us to know that while we focus on so many things in our lives, I like how Ken Fight had given this quote. It was, giving your presence might be the best Christmas gift that you could give someone this year. That you are, be able to take the time and then just step back and say, hey, we're just going to focus on what's important and just being present for other people and just being there, not worrying about all of the other cares in life. So next we're going to look at who's got your back. And this is talking about some support, and we're going to keep rolling through this, and we're coming up to toward the end in the next 15 minutes or so. And it's important for us to look at who's got your back and your support system. Going to an event, I remember this one specific event that I had to go to, and people will talk about after you've gone through a loss and you have to attend a different party or things like that. I did not want to go at all. And it just hit me. It was like a wave of grief, that just was punching me, going, I don't want to go. And the thing is that I thought I had everything worked out, that I was going to be able to, there's going to be other people that are at the table. I don't have to worry about keeping conversation. We can just hit there and go. And things got changed around. The event was different than what we thought, and I was ticked. I didn't. But I think it's in looking at and making a plan. Have someone attend that event with you, and that can make a huge impact. That if there's, that there might be some anxiety associated with that, have someone go with you and say, hey, I'm a little nervous about being at this event. Go with me.
Being honest with them, with the person, that you asked to go with you, or that they're going and you go with them.
Right.
That you let them know that, I'm feeling apprehensive about it, but if you could just, we have a signal, whatever it is. I mean, you can find different ways.
Signal.
Yeah, kind of a, how do I navigate this? But having that kind of right-hand man that can,
they can know
and
understand, and they can look for the signals of when you're like, I'm tapped out. I got to get out of here. They can know, and they can help you with that.
Because there may be times when that specific event, actually you go and you actually feel, okay, I think I can do this for a while, and it works out fine. And then there's other times you'll go and you're like, you walk in the door and you just want to turn around and run away. And so, just being able to have that.
And the next thing is beware of the you shoulds. And you're like, who's the you shoulds? Those are the people that always say you should, and then they give what their idea for your life is and how you should handle your grief. Beware of the you shoulds. And so just know that they probably mean very well. They're not out to push their opinion, but they're giving their perspective, as limited as it may be. They're giving their perspective of what they want for you, and it may be helpful, but you have to also understand that it may not. It's okay for you to be happy and for you to laugh. That doesn't diminish what your loss. That sometimes people will look at you and go, "Oh, well, they're happy, they're smiling, everything's good.
They're over it."
Yeah, they're over it. I saw them at that event, and they were fine. I don't know what the deal is. And so just know everyone will have an opinion, good or bad. Everybody's going to have an opinion. So just don't worry about everybody else's opinion. Do what you need to do to walk through with intentionality that you can get through this season. And that also goes along with, don't fall into other people's guilt trips of, them. That probably is pretty closely associated with the you shoulds, but you're working off of a reduced capacity right now. You may find yourself just trying to maintain a thought could be pretty difficult, and you're like, man, why can't I keep it together? You need to know that you're walking through. There are a lot of things that are going on in your life, in your brain, physically, cognitively, emotionally. There are so many things at play when you're walking through grief and loss. We talk about that in our course, and we're gonna share in just a moment about that. But realize that there's no way that you can be all things to all people, and so you're gonna have to pick and choose and be able to,
again, surround yourself with the people that know you best, or that can understand that at least.
That. And they're not going to be offended when you do hit that wall. We have some good friends that, and I wore out their carpet. Just go over there and would crash on their carpet, and I was totally fine. And but they were okay with that. They knew I didn't have to be there to entertain them. They didn't have to entertain me. It was just a safe place that I could just exhale and go, okay, I'm gonna make it through there. So if you have any questions, if you have anything that you want to ask us, you can either do so in the chat. And I know we have a couple things that were being a little wonky on our Facebook, and so we'll share that from the YouTube, just to make sure if that wasn't on with our Family Blend page. But you can go to youtube.com/thefamilyblend, and that's where you can access our YouTube page, and also on our website at grieftogrowth.org. If you do have any questions that you want to email us, you can do so at hello@grieftogrowth.org. That's hello@grieftogrowth.org, and that will that'll come to both Kari and I, and we'll be able to help you in any way that we can. And so, looking at some of the resources and things that we have going on and coming up, we are excited about our newest resource, and this has been a little while in the works, because we've been trying some things and then going, okay, well, what how do we do this, and trying out different web platforms and how to do this. But we have our new resource and online course called Understanding Loss. One thing that we had in August, we had our in-person Grief to Growth event, and that was a 6-week class, and we talked about multiple things that going through that process of processing what happened and what was, gaining perspective of where we're at, and then moving forward with purpose. And so we had some comments that one was Mackie was a part of it, and she had said, I found ways to cope with loss, to move forward, and to renew a sense of life through this sensitive yet practical teaching.
And then Ashley said, Grief to Growth has allowed me a second chance to grieve properly and allow the emotions to flow with the better understanding that I have received.
And so that's been exciting to be able to go through that first in-person class and have the response that we did, both with the number of people that went through, but also the feedback of how people were helped from saying, man, this has helped our marriage. We've been able to understand each other better and been able to communicate. And others that have talked about, boy, I just feel more at peace. And I understand that there are things that I was walking through in loss, and I didn't even attribute that to loss. And once I gained an understanding of what was happening, I was able to move forward and kind of begin that healing journey with more intention. And so we talk about some resources that are coming up and things that we have currently. You can go to grieftogrowth.org and you can subscribe to our podcast. And we have that. That is, we try to get that out every week. And so we've had some great interviews on there, and then also sharing some of the content that's a part of our classes. We also have the Grief to Growth journal that's made up of 90 pages of short prompts that can help you as you're processing the loss of someone, and you can write in there, and there's some great prompts to help you honor them, but also as a good reminder and move you forward toward growth. We have our in-person events that we've talked about, and some online group coaching, and now our online course, and that is called Understanding Loss. And so we're excited to be able to release this, and that will be available. It actually may even be available tonight for those that are able to get that course. But for sure, tomorrow morning by 10 a.m., it is ready, and it talks about what is loss, when loss hits home. There's some other areas of the stages of grief, dimensions. Types of loss. And so that is, we're excited to have that available. And so you can be able to get access to that. And so here's what we're doing for this. There is right now and through this holidays, that course material is discounted 50%. So it's $24 if you want to purchase that course. You can go through that course of there's 6 lessons through that, and it's just a self-paced. One thing that it will also do is there is some content that you go through on a lesson, and then it's released after a few days. And so you may hit one and you finish that course and it says, coming soon, or, it's not yet available. They're all there, but this is designed so that you don't just burn through this in a day and then go, oh, I hyper focused on this, I went through it, and tomorrow I don't. Not that that has ever happened to me, that I would ever do that, but I am kind of learning this. This is more from my own my own sake, but this is dripped content that you'll get, and every few days you can access some more of those lessons. Now, one thing that we're doing with that is it's $24, but if just for $10 more, you can end up gifting that course to someone else. So if it's for someone or if it is, someone that you just want to say, hey, I just want to gift this, and you guys can give a scholarship to people that you are talking to, that have reached out to you. We have been excited of all of the people that have been reaching out, either directly from social media, if they contact us, but that's been exciting to connect with people. But there's a lot of people that are just hurting, and so if you want to do that, you can help. Then all you have to do is when you register and go through that process, then for $24, you can purchase the course. For $34, you essentially get 2 courses. And so if you are not watching on our website, I'm just going to put this in the chat. If you go to grieftogrowth.org/shop, and when you do that, then you can go ahead and I'm going to leave that graphic up because I'm going to just double check and make sure that that is there. And that shows actually, let me change that. How about this? If you go to grieftogrowth.org/store. So I'm going to
Shop, store.
Yeah, it's all there. So let me put this in, and that way you can be able to there we go. So grieftogrowth.org/store. And so if you go and access that, you can purchase that and get started. That will either be started and ready this evening or first thing in the morning. Actually, I believe that it is able to be accessed tonight. So if you have any questions, make sure that you connect with us, and you can do that. We'll just put this in the chat. Our email is hello@grieftogrowth.org, and we'd love to connect with you there and help in any way. But ultimately, we just want to say thank you so much for joining us and being a part of this. This was fun, and we're learning in the process. So thanks for being patient on some of our tech challenges. But we're trying out some new things to make it a little easier to be accessed. And so we want to thank you, and please let us know if there's any way that we can help. But we know that there is hope for you as you walk through these holidays. As we end, we'd love to just go ahead and pray that God would bless you during this time. God, I thank you for this time that we've been able to be together, and even in a virtual way, be able to share hope that we have in you. Lord, for all those who are walking through difficult times, walking through loss, walking through difficulty, God, may you just surround them with your presence, with your hope, with your peace, and know that, Lord, you have not abandoned us, that, Lord, you are with us and you are for us, and that we can move forward with purpose, knowing that you are going to see us through. Lord, your word says, he who began a good work will be faithful to complete it to the very end. And so, Lord, we thank you for the growth that is happening and will continue to do so in your name. Amen. God bless you. And thanks so much for being with us. And we'll look forward to connecting on the next time.